So you need to create an interior design portfolio, but you have no idea how to stop and you don't exactly want to be staring into the depths of InDesign for the next 12 hours. This video is for you. These are my hot tips for creating a high quality interior design portfolio with as minimal effort as possible. And by hot tips, I mean one hot tip. Now, one of the biggest differences between a professional and a student interior design portfolio is the content in it. Typically in a professional's design portfolio, there will be a lot more images of the final product of the space rather than renderings or Photoshop pieces. Whereas a student is going to rely on the process and also any of those final pieces that are 3D rendered for their portfolio. Now, there's one of two routes that you can take when you are designing an interior design portfolio. Number one is literally just staring at the blank abyss of InDesign and thinking you can figure it out on your own. That is option one. Or option two, which is the one we are opting for today, is utilizing portfolio templates. Now, I know what you're thinking. As a designer, I did think this myself. I know how to make a template. I know how to do a design portfolio. I'm creative. Like, of course I can do it by myself. Yes, you're an interior designer, you're not a graphic designer, and there are actually differences. And it is totally okay for you to utilize a template that you have found on Etsy, Adobe Stock, or wherever else you find it. I'm sure Amazon's probably got one as well. And it is okay to use them, or at the very least gain inspiration from them, because they will teach you how to lay out your work and to lay it out professionally and in a very neat manner. And also just not making all of these really small decisions that are probably going to change in the future anyway, like color palette, text font, size, and everything along that sort of route. Now, there are a couple of places where you can get yourself a interior design template. Personally, I really like looking at Etsy and Adobe Stock. Both of them have pretty reasonable ones at pretty reasonable prices as well. And I'm going to show you a couple today just to see what you should be looking for if you do decide to go down this a little bit more relaxed route of creating a design portfolio. Now, when looking at a template, the main thing that you want to be looking for is a minimalist looking template that is easy to go ahead and edit and also have a more neutral color palette. Now, I know some of you out there are just like me. You do not want to be using a neutral color palette. I get it. And you can use color, but the colors that you select have to be very, very specific. I'll pop one up here, which does use color, but you've got to remember that your work is the thing that's meant to shine. And utilizing more muted tones are going to allow your work to do so. If you use bright, fun colors like my first design portfolio, unfortunately, it's going to take away from your work. Now, this first template is actually a really good example of having a bit of a range of layout, but also being still minimalistic and easy to customize. So this is probably best for someone that does have a bit of a varying range of the type of content that they can put into it. So maybe not someone that just has, only renderings. But if you do have some images, I think this would be a really great one to work with. The only thing that I don't particularly like about this particular portfolio is that I would personally prefer having a little about me section at the beginning. I have one in my portfolio now. It's kind of like a mini resume, and I think it's just really, really valuable to have that at the beginning. That would probably be the only thing that I would change about it though. This second template, I actually very loosely based my own off of it. I really liked it because it was bold, it was easy to read, and it had enough variation in terms of the layout that it didn't feel too constricting for myself. Honestly, I know you're probably still a little bit hesitant about having a template, but the good thing, especially if this is one of your first 5 or so portfolios, it really takes the guesswork out of how to lay things out and also how a portfolio is meant to look. If you're newer into the design sort of world, it can be really, really overbearing and a bit stressful, honestly. So having something like this is a great place to start. And honestly, it saves you a lot of time. I was one of the suckers that was like, I'm going to, have the blank interior design template and just stare at it for hours. And I kind of wish I didn't do that because so many issues. I've got so many issues now. If you aren't completely sold on getting a template, I will just say that they are pretty affordable and you do save time by spending that small amount of money on it. But if you aren't still sold on it, my recommendation would be to look at other templates and see how they're laid out, so then you can get a better understanding of how you should lay out your own. Because remember, you may be an interior designer, but you are not a graphic designer. As much as I know we all want to believe that we are because we are creatives, it's unfortunately not the case. So taking inspiration is totally okay, and I would 100% recommend it. Now, if you would like to have a look at my interior design portfolio, I will have it at the very end of this video, and you can have a look at how I've laid it out and what kind of content I have in it. If you're new here, my name is Tash, and I really do hope that this was a helpful video for you, and I will see you in the next one.